All right, it is the second part of our crossover. I promised everybody some playoff expansion talk. We're going to do that. No intro here. We're just going to get to it. All right. I'm Josh Neighbors of Locked On Big 12. To my right, it is Jake Hatch of Locked On Cougars. Below him, it is John Williams of Locked On Sooners. To his left, it is Linda Godfrey of Locked On Pokes. So the before I show my proposal, I've made a proposal. I actually spent hours on this. I really thought this through, my friends. This one just all right. 12 teams bracket. Here we go. Whatever.
If only y'all could see our Twitter DM thread that had all this.
Yes, yeah. I made graphics for everything, which you all will get to see here in a little bit. But the conversation about playoff expansion happened after there were blowouts, which I hate it when the blowouts spark this conversation because that's not what it's about. To me, we using the opt-out conversation we just had and using kind of the college football playoff, just with New Year's 6 and everything, to me, there's a 12-team playoff really does fix multiple things. Now, it does present some scheduling issues about how you do it and also number of game issues. But generally speaking, are we all in agreement that the playoff should expand just to make it a more competitive venture? Because look, I think a bottom line for me, more teams in the playoff, like if Utah was in there, if Cincinnati plus, Oklahoma State's in there, if an Iowa can get in, recruiting is going to be helped. If there are more teams in the playoff, if Pitt is in a playoff game, how does that not help recruiting? Because at the worst, it doesn't help. At the best, it does, but it's not going to hurt them. So I think generally speaking, the exposure helps. Linda, I'll go to you first. Are you kind of on the path of playoff expansion? Are you with this?
Yeah, and I especially like one of the notes you made in your. We'll get to it, but for sure, I think it needs to expand. I think 4 is kind of a silly number to be like, these are the 4 best, and we'll go from there. It's like, are we learning anything about any teams in 2 games?
Also, the month off. I hate the month off. I think it's a big thing too, which I don't like. John, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm pro playoff. More the better. I love the NFL. The NFL lets sometimes teams with losing records into the playoffs, and it's not any less fun. So
we're hell yeah, Raiders Chargers.
That's right.
This Saturday night, baby, let's do it.
And we still love the regular season. Am I right? Nobody is sitting there taking Sundays off from the regular season in the NFL because they're going to have 14 teams in the playoffs. No, they're not. Everybody's tuned in every single Sunday with ratings growing and growing every single year.
To your point, my dumbass was clinging to my metaphorical railing that was falling over, watching my WFT team against the Eagles this past weekend, being like, "Oh, still got a chance," even though I shouldn't be doing it at all. Right. So yes, you're totally right.
And for me, I like the idea that it includes the group of 5 teams as well. That it gives them a path to potential competition. Are they going to be outmatched almost every single year? Yeah, but you know what? There could be that one year where a team gets hot and the matchups just work out just right. I mean, we see it in the NCAA tournament all the time.
And this is a big part of it's getting hot. The opportunity to get hot, which is not there right now.
Right. And so I think I love the idea of expansion. I've been pro expansion for years, even back when we were still just 2 teams. And so, yes, more teams, more football, more better.
Jake, as somebody covers a team, BYU, outside looking in, just from the outset of being, they're an independent team, but they're kind of viewed as almost a G5 team. Just because I think of where the location is, even though they've had a rich football history. Your ideas, your thoughts of playoff expansion?
Well, they're the last G5 team to win a national championship, 1984. It's what BYU fans love to point to. We're almost 40 years in the rearview mirror with that, but they will continue to point to that. The thing is, you give teams an opportunity to show what they can do. And I'm with you on the recruiting front of things. If you can go to a kid and say, hey, you have an opportunity if you come here to play in the playoff with an expanded playoff. And let me just use the Utah metaphor for a minute. Ohio State, Marvin Harrison Jr. had 5 receptions going into that Rose Bowl game against the University of Utah. He catches 5 balls in the Rose Bowl. 3 of them go for touchdowns. And you can't tell me that young man had an opportunity maybe at another school popped up. They could go to him and say, okay, you're going to be buried on the bench at Ohio State. Come here and play early, and you still have an opportunity to go play in the playoff. Whereas I think he saw the writing on the wall. Ohio State has a chance year in and year out to get to the playoff. If I want to play on the biggest stage, I've got to go there, even if I'm going to be a reserve for the first 2 years of my career potentially. any expansion is good expansion in my mind because it's going to bring more eyeballs. It's going to open up opportunities for these young men. It's actually going to diversify recruiting to a degree, and I think it's just an overall net positive.
And to your point real quickly, like Jamison Williams at Ohio State, where did he go?
Yeah,
Alabama.
he went to Alabama and blows
right.
up. Yeah.
So maybe he's got a chance to go somewhere else, to your point. Yeah, John, you got something before we
I just wanted to add to the recruiting aspect of it. Like if Baylor would have been able to been in the playoff, like it would have gotten more eyes on Dave Aranda, more eyes on the Baylor Bears, more eyes on Waco. Like it just increases the profile for all of these teams that would not have had a national game other than the bowl game, which, maybe a lot of people were tuned into because it was a New Year's Six bowl. But like, if you're talking about like UTEP or Appalachian State getting into the playoff, like that gives them a national broadcast to get more eyes on their program and just continue to promote their program. So like you said, it diversifies recruiting a little bit because it gives more teams more exposure.
All right, so here comes the formula after a quick word from our sponsors. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at Get Upside. Go check out Get Upside right now. It is a new app that's going to help you all save money on gas. You can save up to 25 cents for every gallon of gas right now. Download the Get Upside app today. Use the promo code SCORE, SCORE, and you guys will get 50 cents off cash back up to that on your first time at the pump, then up to 25 next times that you go to the pump. So make sure you guys save money on gas, especially in this economy right now. Save money on gas. Get Upside. Go download the app today. Also, the show is brought to you by betonline.ag. National championship coming up this weekend, or Monday night, I should say. Get some action on that right now at betonline.ag. They got football, basketball, baseball, soccer, hockey, Vegas casino games. They got it all. Use the promo code Locked On, LOCKEDON, Locked On. You'll receive a 50% deposit bonus today at betonline.ag. BetOnline, it's where the game starts. All right, so here is my playoff proposal. I'm just going to talk to you guys first about the goals. Josh's CFP goals, all right? Number one, make money. I'm not an idiot. This is what it's about. We're going to make more money. We're going to grow the sport of college football. By growing, we're going to offer more opportunities, more people. And by doing so, we're going to do the third point, improve the competitive imbalance we currently experience in college football. All right, you say, Josh, well, it sounds great, but how are we going to do that? Well, here's what we're going to do. Your team selection, all right? This is a 12-team college football playoff. Teams 1 through 7 will be selected as the 7 highest-ranked conference champions according to the Associated Press poll. Teams 8 through 12 will be selected by the College Football Playoff Committee. The reason why I'm doing this, and I'll show this in a second, is because at least with the AP poll, we can track this stuff literally from the beginning of the season. So we don't have 13, what's being like, we're here in the old conference room in the hotel. Here comes the camera. We've got some ideas. Okay, here comes Gary Barta. He's going to talk to us. Those guys don't get to control this. The people who have been voting and paying attention all year control the top 7. Now, we get to have some fun with the 8 through 12, and that 8 through 12 range is where you really get to have those fun arguments about who should be next. Now, of course, this year with Georgia, so they're directly in, but towards the back end, you get those fun arguments. Also, the AP poll stuff, I know there's some people who are out there, but there are so many AP poll voters that really that stuff kind of gets aggregated out, right? Like consensus wins with those AP poll voters, and you look down the names, like those are a lot of them are people that we trust, that we know. And so that stuff gets aggregated through. So with the selection, with this proposal here, does anybody have any comments about the way I've set it out? I know the number of 7 conference champions is different than the 6 that was heard before. 7 is by design because I want to extend the olive branch in terms of money-making opportunities and exposure to as many conferences as possible. So does anybody have a problem with the number 7? And anybody think that 7's too far with the automatic bids?
I don't think it's far enough.
Oh, wow. Would you do every conference gets an automatic bid?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's fair. That is fair. I just did 7 conservatively right now because I don't know what the end of conference realignment looks like.
Right.
So I wanted to do 7 just to be conservative. And also I like the 5 remaining spots as like one more spot of responsibility for the College Football Playoff Committee, but it's like not too much, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think 7 is fair. I mean, yes, there are some group of 5 conferences that aren't really ready to compete on that national stage. Maybe they're, if you can give 2 of them, that's pretty good. I feel like that's like you said, it's an olive branch. It brings them to the table. It gives them an opportunity. I like the idea of automatic bids because it does reward winning your conference. It does reward, playing in the conference championship game. Like, even if you don't do well in non-conference play, you still have an opportunity to get into the playoff by doing well in your conference. And I think that means a lot. I think that matters. You look at a team like Utah. They were a team that was as hot as anybody going into conference championship weekend. Or Baylor or Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma in 2020.
Yeah, like if any of those teams, like Oklahoma State, gets left out, even if they win their conference, say Notre Dame jumps them somehow or something, like it all gets weird. So I like rewarding the conference champion.
Yeah. Anybody else have thoughts on this part before I move to the formatting?
I think taking the College Football Playoff Committee out of the equation as much as possible is a net positive.
Yeah, I think they have to be involved a little bit because of like the College Football Playoff thing is like an entity. You know what I mean? It's like an LLC type deal.
Let me add one thing on that. I want to see transparency from them. If they're gonna be involved at any level, I want more transparency because I'm with you. They meet up there in Dallas at this swanky hotel and they meet in the boardroom.
We got TVs.
We got TVs. Okay, we're gonna let you see about 5 seconds what we're doing in here with our discussion, but there's actually no you're not gonna see what we're actually doing. So transparency.
I imagine that they because they make it look like they sit in these conference rooms. They got like 5 TVs and like conference championship weekend. It's like they've got 5 TVs, they've got pretzels, and they've got Sprites, and they're going to sit here all day long. They're going to watch these games, like what it feels like when they show that. So that is why I've said, look, it can be a little bit of both. A little bit of both is also something that's going to come on down the line too. All right, format. Teams 1 through 4 will have a bye. Once again, 1 through 4 will be decided as the 4 highest ranked conference champions at the end of the year, according to the Associated Press Poll. The first 4 games will be held on campus. So that means the 5 seed hosts 12, 6 seed hosts 11, 7 hosts 10, and 8 hosts 9. 4 of the 6 New Year's 6 bowls will be used for the second round, with the highest seed selecting their preferred location. So just take a gander at this right now. So right now, the way it works in the Final Four is the highest seed Alabama this year, they got to pick their location. We would do that, but think about, a top 4 this year of Alabama, Cincinnati, Michigan being the 2, Cincinnati 3, and then the 4, I think the 4th highest was actually Baylor. They get to pick their location. So Alabama would, maybe Nick Saban still wants to go to Dallas, so he can go to Dallas, which would be weird. But let's just say that he goes to Miami to be proximity closest to his fans. That would allow Baylor to go to, wherever they wanted to go. I guess they go to the Cotton Bowl, right? Michigan would probably
up the road.
Yeah. Michigan, I'd try to think where they would go. I mean, Nolan's kind of far for them, so maybe they'd pick the Cotton Bowl. I don't know, but it just kind of allows proximity to take over just a little bit. The one kicker on all of this is that the Sugar Bowl and the Rose Bowl are independently scheduled. So ESPN airs them, but they get to pick when they happen. But here's the thing. You don't actually need them to be involved. So if they don't want to put their lot in with you, you can just ignore them actually. Like that can be what you do. If you want to play it that way, that's the way you can do it. And honestly, you could make a cheese bowl. One of the first, one of the Elite 8. But the big thing here is that first round games, those first 4 games, they are not a bowl game. They are the college football playoff. And if you want to do presented by, pick your sponsor. Somebody wants to come in and do all 4 games, they could set that up before. If somebody wants to do one of the games, you can set it up before. This college football playoff game is brought to you by whoever. That opens up some possibilities here. So in terms of the format, the kind of top 4 buys, then those 4 teams who are on buys select their location for their game from the available bowl games. How do we feel about this format with this?
So if one of the goals is to make more money, I feel like the first 4 seeds get left out a little bit on this front. They don't get that extra home game. They're going to have to split bowl revenue a little bit more. And so I feel like that's kind of a little bit of a hang up for me. But I mean, unless you're going to do 8 teams and, the first round games are home games for the top 4 seeds, or you're going to do 16 and the first round is, home games for the top 8. I think that's kind of where you're at. Or if you just go, I don't know, I think that'd be a bit of a hang up for teams like Alabama who like, hey, we get to host another home game in Tuscaloosa. That'd be
so I would say, I think there's a way you'd have to revenue share either the money from those games, which would probably happen, or you take money out of the television contract that happened and you pay out the schools that were left out of those first 4 games.
Now there would be more revenue coming into those those, I guess, Elite Eight.
First round. Let's call the first
round.
round.
I'm saying the quarterfinal games.
Oh, yeah.
Because they would have bigger sponsors, like, your All-State Sugar Bowl or I can't remember.
Capital One Orange Bowl.
Yeah, Capital One. There's a lot more revenue going into those than the Sonic, first round playoff game at Oklahoma or whatever.
I like that. I want Sonic first round playoff.
Yeah, Sonic needs to sponsor everything. But so yeah, I think there's definitely, I don't know, they would work it out. They would figure out the money part of it.
Right. How does everybody else feel about the formatting of the, all right, you have the home game? Because here's the thing is, like, the one thing I didn't like about the proposal was the fact that they wanted to play these at both sites. And man, it's a drag. It's a real drag to have those.
I would even honestly try to do more like the NCAA tournament and kind of create it a little bit of a regional aspect of it. So like if Michigan is one of the top 4 teams in the second round, Indianapolis, Detroit, hey, let's get us a game in Detroit. Like that's an actual home game for them.
Yeah, let these NFL stadiums, they want games. Let them bid on this. SoFi Stadium in LA would love to have Pac-12 teams out there. Indianapolis would love to have Big Ten teams. New York would love to have Big Ten teams. Let that be more of a regional field. But that's the thing I want to deal at an NFL stadium, but in the general vicinity of where those schools are at. Make it more of a regional.
Yeah. The problem was you'd have to book it on short notice.
And right? I get that part of it. Yeah.
That is the one thing. Now, I will say this, like, I think these sites could staff up real quick for a game, on like, because with those sites being selected, they'd get 2 weeks notice, right? The season's over on December 3rd. And I'll actually get, that kind of leads me to my next point. Linda, did you have anything before we go to the next point?
You got it. Do your segue.
All right. So, because the scheduling part of this matters. So I used December as kind of a December 2022 as a roadmap for all of this. So the first round games would take place the second week of December. There will then be it would be one Thursday night game, one Friday night game, and then 2 Saturday games. I posted the wrong graphic. John made a good point saying, hey, look, what if somebody had to play a Saturday, Thursday? Well, there is the Pac-12 plays their championship game on Thursday night. So what you could do is, if it's a Pac-12, and it kind of worked out this way with the bracket I'll show you guys in a second, but like, we got the Pac-12 champion against a team that actually didn't play the week previous. So you get a team on 6 days rest against a team that actually wasn't playing before. And also nobody knew who they were playing, so there was no advantage to that. Bit more rest, but also one team gets to host. So one team's more rested, one team's hosting. That's kind of the way it kind of aggregates itself out. The round of 8 will be 1 week later, same format. So those are those bowl locations. Those are those New Year's 6 that we had used previously. So Sugar, Fiesta, Orange. What else am I missing? Sugar, Fiesta, Peach. A lot of them concentrated in the South. Those games could be used to host that next week. Christmas week is off. That would allow you to play the Final Four on New Year's weekend, like we just had. And also, you can keep your championship game. I believe Monday the 8th is the 2022 championship game date. That would allow them to keep that schedule next year in 2020. Actually, this year we're already in 2022. It's Saturday, December 31st is New Year's Eve. There's your day for your 2 playoff games, the Final Four right there. So, a couple things here. Man, I really I hate the troops because Army Navy gets the shaft here with this. Army Navy is the game that gets played the week after conference championship games, and that is the one thing that I couldn't really figure this out because I think the one thing that we've already seen, especially with the rules this year, they were unwilling to play the college football playoff game, championship game, much later than they already are right now. I think it's because of the NFL playoffs. They were like, we're not doing it past anything. So this was the only way I could make the schedule kind of fit into actually what it is now and kind of end naturally. So the one game, sadly, that gets the shaft once again is Army Navy in this situation. Maybe they play it week 1. I don't know. Maybe that's the first game of the year every year now. I don't know. I'm not sure. I kind of like Army Navy in the snow as opposed to the blistering heat during the summer. But how do you guys feel about this schedule, kind of taking place with the games happening the week after conference championship weekend? John, go ahead.
Yeah, just to kind of keep Army Navy like in the spotlight. Just have them be the 12 o'clock game or the on the East Coast. Like let them kick off the first round of the playoffs on that Saturday with the first game. That'd be kind of cool. And then from there it segues into an afternoon and then a night game that are part of the college football playoffs. I think a lot of people would get a kick out of like a full day of college football.
I think it's great. It's great, actually.
And should one of them, I come from an Army family, and should one of them make the playoff, which any of us here expect them to make it in any given year, barring something crazy, I think it's actually a genius idea John had. I was thinking about that, but I think John nailed it. I think that's the perfect segue.
Yeah, the one hiccup would be Navy winning the AAC. I think that would be the one thing that put the massive. But you can't plan for that. Like you can't build all this around Navy winning the AAC. Right?
Have a contingency in it. If you make it, great. We'll adjust.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea too because I forgot. I even forgot that I had done the Thursday, Friday, 2 on Saturday thing. Look, I think that works. Also, you know what it restores? The Thursday night college football game. Like that was a staple of my childhood. Just being really sad whenever Virginia Tech lost on Thursday nights. That was like a big staple. Matt Ryan breaking my heart was a moment of my childhood. So I think it's pretty cool. A Thursday, like just kind of that feeling of, hey, Thursday playoff game, Friday playoff game, Saturday 2 playoff games, and you can sprinkle in some other bowls in there too to kind of actually, the Army Navy game is one case. You can sprinkle in some other bowls to kind of give it that lead-in feeling, right, for some other weekends. But the Thursday, Friday, 2 on Saturday thing would be true for the first 2 weekends of the playoff. So that second weekend of December and that third weekend of December would both have that same format happening there. And then now I'm going to show the bracket. So you can't really, this is the best I could do here. Let me see if, okay, hold on. I'm going to do the bigger one. What is the bigger one? Even though it doesn't cover the whole screen. So I just ran it this year. Like I just did the rankings. Bama was 1, 2 was Michigan, 3 was Cincy, 4 was Baylor. And then you had your 5 seed was Utah, your 6 was Pitt, your 7 was Louisiana, your 8 was Georgia, your 9 was Notre Dame, your 10 was Ohio State, your 11 was Ole Miss, and your 12 was Oklahoma State. Now, this isn't necessarily fair for everybody. But that's kind of the point.
That's so fun, though.
Right? Like guys, Louisiana is hosting Ohio State.
That's amazing.
Like they're going to go to Lafayette, Louisiana to play a playoff game. There's your Thursday night game right there. Yep. I mean, the Raging Cage, that place would be lubed up and ready to go for a Thursday night game between Ohio State and Louisiana. I mean, that's kind of your selling point right there. Although you probably do the Utah-Oklahoma State game in that spot, maybe something like that. Ole Miss and Pitt you could do there, but it just kind of would depend on how things worked out. But yeah, I mean, I also, by the way, I simulated all of these games using one of the college ball simulators. I did the best of 7 for all of them. So you guys can check out how things shaped up. We had a Georgia-Ohio State championship game, and Ohio State won, which goes to one of the big points. This is not supposed to fix the end result right now. It will not fix the end result right now. Most likely, those results are going to be the same. The one thing it will do is let teams get hot, right? Potentially get hot, and that's not actually happened before. Because I think the month off is one of the big buzzkills. You're giving elite coaches with elite players a month to get ready for teams. It's not going to go well. It's just not going to go well for a lot of these groups. So that's why I think that was important too, to have that full kind of week by week experience. The most time somebody gets off is 2 weeks. And I know the top seeds will have it 2 weeks with the way it's laid out right now, but I still think that's completely fine with the way it goes. So you get some fun matchups, you get some unique matchups, and also a big part of this too is I think the kids, any game beyond the regular season or championship ending, the kids will get a part of the money because this is going to be a $2 billion television contract, which I think they should pull an NFL. I'm not sure how you guys feel. I think they should split it up. Linda, I know you're a big NFL fan. Would you like to see the Amazon Prime Thursday night game, Louisiana hosting Ohio State on Amazon Prime, and then on Saturday, Friday night's the Fox game, and then Saturday you got the ABC and games? Would you like that?
I like exciting Friday night football because like a lot of times college Friday night football are either like blowouts or just like pretty atrocious matchups. They're fun to watch, but in terms of like competitive excitement, a playoff game on Friday would be a blast. Taking over Thursday night football, like there's football's on like every day of the week already. It's exhausting, especially when the NFL is going through COVID and they schedule games on Tuesdays and Wednesdays and every other day of the week. It would be hard to like make a decision. I'd need like split screen? I don't know what I would do. I have to pay attention to both.
Here's the thing: the NFL could just play those games on Sunday. Like I know Browns and Packers is probably a good number. You know what I mean? And that's great to have. But like there have been some time slots this season that have really sucked.
Yeah,
and
awful.
I think the NFL has not done themselves favors this year with scheduling.
And right. I totally agree. If we could just nix Thursday night football from an NFL standpoint, like I would be fine with that already. And if we're replacing it with Thursday night playoff football, I'm all in.
Yes.
I don't think college football would have anything to worry about going up against the NFL on a Thursday night with a playoff game. I think they'd do just fine.
I agree.
Yeah.
It'd be the Thursday night wars. We had the Monday night wars.
The Thursday night wars. There you go. Yeah. And then obviously the one thing I didn't really hit on a bunch was the money distribution with this thing. It's really hard to find exact numbers of how conferences distribute their money. You guys all saw this, but I put it in the big college channel group. Like, is there any kind of database or manifest of how these conferences distribute money? And there really isn't. But the main point of this is like 7 conferences are going to get playoff money, and they're going to get more playoff money than they do right now, which is a huge part of this. And also like paying the players, people will be like, oh my God, like we're going to find the money to do that. So I think it was Sports Business Journal estimated, and I think maybe USA Today did too. The estimates of this next television contract are around $2 billion. Now, whether that's just one single entity with ESPN, they just re-up there, or it's multiple, right? It's Amazon, CBS, Fox, ESPN. It's going to accumulate some serious money here. So I just want you to imagine, does anybody know how many hundreds of millions of dollars 2 billion is? Anybody know? It's 200, right? It's the number.
Yeah.
Right? Yes. Or whatever the hell it is. I don't even know. Hold on. I'm losing my mind here. Anyway, like just take $40 million, which sounds like a lot of money. $40 million, right? And use that for payment of players throughout and just distribute it amongst all the teams. You might say, wow, Josh, $40 million, but like $40 million of $2 billion really is I mean, it's not that much. I believe it's, what is like 2%, like 2% of all that. So
Josh, stop spending the NCAA's money. They don't want you to spend it.
No, not those amateurs can't have it. Those student athletes, they've got no business doing it. So I think there's a way to do it. And look, if it's a flat fee for all the kids, and people are saying the eventual like ability to opt out of playoff games, it's going to come. I agree, sure, whatever. But I do think there is something to the idea that like NFL teams are going to be like, you quit on the championship? Like, not sure we like that. Not sure we like you giving up on your team with a chance to win a championship.
NFL teams didn't like Justin Herbert, and that didn't go so swell, did it? So
that's true. That is fair. That is fair. But like, I do think there is something to like, it's like your team's got a chance to win a national championship, and you decided to buck.
Yeah, it's different. If it's just a bowl game, the NFL is like, please sit out. We want our future investment to be very healthy coming into the NFL season. if it's a playoff game, that definitely is going to ring a little bit different with coaches and general managers and player, personnel directors and things like that. So,
yeah. All right. So this is the proposal. It's all there. Teams. I will post this to my own personal Twitter. I've done it. I fixed it. I'm glad I was able to run it by you guys first. But no, I think like this is the process that they're going through, right? They're putting out a proposal, they're running it through. Now the problem is they're not like, how can we get as much equity as possible, right? How can we get equity amongst the players? They're like, how can we make as much effing money as possible? I think the thing is you're going to make money hand over fist anyway, the 12-team playoff. It's more inventory, right? I know you're using the New Year's Six, but you're adding at least 4 new games with those first round games that you're setting up right there. I think this is an awesome opportunity. All right. We have one more ad read to take care of before we get out of here. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at Built Bar. Go to built.com. That is built.com today. Use the promo code LOCK15, LOCKED15, LOCK15. And you get 15% off your first order. It's the new year, and Built Bar would love to be a part of your New Year's resolution. So you guys can go to Built Bar now and download the app. You guys can go to Built Bar right now, built.com, and order whatever you like. Use the promo code LOCK15 today. All right. Plug your podcast, plug whatever else. Jake, you're up first. What do you got?
Locked On Cougars, covering all things BYU. Just search out Locked On Cougars on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter for our social media feeds. Available like this podcast on every podcast provider out there. If you want my thoughts on all things sports, I'll be sure to roast Josh about this playoff proposal. Check me out. Jacob C. Hatch is my Twitter handle.
All right, yep. John?
You can follow me on Twitter at John9Williams, and the show is at Locked On Sooners on Twitter, Locked On Sooners podcast on Facebook, and you can read my work covering the Oklahoma Sooners over at the Sooners Wire. Also subscribe on YouTube to Locked On Sooners on YouTube. Do that.
Yes, do it.
Just like an OU fan to interrupt me. You can find me on Twitter at Lindellians. The show's at Locked_on_pokes on Twitter, Locked On Pokes on all your listening apps, and then all my fantasy work on Matthew Berry's Fantasy Life newsletter.
You guys can find me on Twitter at @JoshNeighbors_. You can find the show at LO Big 12. Find us on YouTube whenever you guys get your podcast. All right, friends, a lot of fun. Appreciate your all's time.